What's going on, everybody? We are here with a Luna video. I know you guys are, Luna, oh my god, like, where's Descendant? Okay, but hear me out. Her new mods are pretty good. I think the weak point and fire attack is going to be the best one to run on her currently. I know the other one gives skill power, but this mod, I feel the devs dropped it for a reason, and I think it's going to play a crucial part in the next colossi fight that we have coming up for the second half of season one. So let's do the TLDR, get you the two new mods first, and then we'll go over the DPS version. Yes, I know, DPS, lol, whatever. DPS, and then her base support version. So that way you guys can, if you guys want to move on, you can. So with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and look at. I already have it up. Stationary buff. So Singer's Mercy. Basically, you have the same skills as the Nimble Footsteps, except the fact that your circles, instead of them being on you, you place them on the ground. For example, if I was to go run with you and push this here, I can run out of it. It doesn't follow me. You can stand in it, do whatever the hell you want. Pick your nose, scratch your butt, eat some chips, whatever you wanted to do. You can stand in all three of them, get all the buffs, and then the buffs don't expire until you run out of the circle. So that's her first ability. It's going to fall in the same category as her Nimble Footsteps. The only thing that I do not like with this buff is the arc concretion. And the reason for it is because you get slowed by 22% when you do the buff. Yes, I understand you get the maximum MP, the defense, everything like that. But if you're doing a Colossi fight and you get targeted and you can't move, you know what happens. You're basically dead if you have no defenses. And so with that, if you're constantly rolling and moving around, it doesn't really seem like it's necessary to have this buff on when you can put something else on to have more survivability. For example, you can move over the shield conservation and put in a defensive mod here if you wanted to, or whatever else you need for more survivability. That's just my 2 cents on it, just for the fact that I know Nimble Footsteps gives you a speed boost to kind of counteract the arc concretion debuff. So take that with a grain of salt for what you will. Still have the same numbers for everything that you do. You know, the cooldown, the MP, the skill power increase, and crit damage. All that's still there. But just take that with a grain of salt. The build pretty much really doesn't change. I went more so for maximum range, so that way the circles are big enough so you don't have to huddle up, you know, do your COVID 6 feet, all that good jazz. So that way you guys aren't sitting on top of each other getting hit by the boss, because you don't want collateral damage in these colossi fights, because that's the worst thing. And you don't have pass through for other descendants, so you end up hitting each other. Now let's go ahead and go to the weapon weak point and firearm attack, which I think is going to be our best mod going forward, for whatever content we end up doing as far as boss fights, things like that. So it's called Aggressive Melody. Basically, it changes her 2 and her 4 into firearm attack and weak point damage. So the numbers here, as you can see, you get the firearm attack on the exciting sound. She gets a buff herself. With the exciting performance and exciting sound, she gets the exciting performance buff, and the exciting sound goes to her allies. It still scales off of MP, so you can still kind of build it the same way, but I do have some caveats to that. And then the enhanced version, as you can see at the bottom, it gives you 36% critical hit damage increase and a 7.8 critical hit rate, which really is not going to apply to Haley. But that 36% damage, I'm sure she's going to like that very much, along with Glay and Blair. And I'll get to those two in just a second. But it's the same concept as you're doing like the Nimble Steps. You jump into the 4, then you go and use the 2, and then you'll cycle back to the 4, because the 4 is really good. And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. Her 3 is still MP. You get resource cost decrease, same thing, nothing's really changed there, so you don't have to worry about that. The 4, however, is, in my opinion, probably one of the better skills in the game, just for the simple fact that you get a 7.6 weak point damage increase for the regular version, And then for the enhanced version, you get 24%, 24.2%, and you're also getting 50 firearm penetration. Now, as far as the penetration numbers, we don't know if those are percentages or if that's just an additional number. But if I was looking at Haley right now, I think when she's at when she has max stacks and her buffs are active, she has 166 firearm penetration. So with that other 50, in my thought process, I would be thinking she'd be doing true damage at that point. The same thing for Glay when she's in her berserk form. I believe she gets 20%, if I'm, or not 20, but 20 firearm penetration plus that other 50. So she's doing more damage. And Blair, of course, has weak point in his kit. So therefore, this is helping Blair out. So those three descendants, from what I've looked at, are going to be the ones that benefit the most from this buff. Now, getting back to this buff for the enhanced version is going to be a little bit difficult because of how her mechanics work. But if you're in a prolonged fight, that second burst window is going to be really spicy. Now, as far as the build, of course, it's pretty much the same thing across the board. You do MP, do a little bit of survivability. Once again, the arc concretion, I'm kind of on the fence about. I know it's her best in slot, but when you don't have something to supplement the movement speed, you're kind of a sitting duck. And I also wanted to bring up the numbers of what it looks like for the weapon power, the 2, essentially. Because the 4 doesn't really matter as far as MP, so that's why I'm kind of on the fence, because you're basically using it for the 2, and that's essentially it. You don't really care about the MP gain and anything like that. Everybody is basing it off of the 2. So here's some numbers that I have written down currently, right? So my base MP without the arc concretion, or however you want to say it, is 596, and then times that by 3.7, which is what you're getting for the modifier here. Let me move this out the way so you guys can see. Oh, damn. Sorry. So you're getting 3.7, right? Based off of max MP. So with that 3.7, you're looking at a 2200 firearm attack increase. With the concretion, the max stacks, that's 30. My MP is 769, which gives you a 2850, let's just call it 2850, round up, firearm attack increase. The difference between the two is 640 attack power. I don't know what that number implies as far as overall damage, if that's going to be a significant number, but my inkling would be it's probably sub 5%, and it really wouldn't matter. But if you want to squeeze it out, you definitely can. Now, you can see the enhanced version down here. When I pop the enhanced version, that's what the numbers is, 2324.4. Excuse me. And then the enhanced version with the mod on is 2999, basically 3K. And that's a significant difference of 674.7. So I can't go into the very fine print numbers because I didn't have a chance to test this with somebody to see what the numbers would be difference wise, but I'm sure one of you sleuths out there would be able to go into more depth. I just wanted to get the base video out there for you guys so you can see this. Now, if you wanted to forego that, if it's not enough to really warrant having that there, once again, you have different options. I left this slot open. Well, first of all, let me just clarify that my Luna is catted to the core. I think I have 11 in her right now because I'm a support player. So most of the support characters I'm going to end up dumping a bunch of cattas into, because that's what I do. I let you guys run around and do whatever it is you want to do and pick you up when you mess up. But I left this slot open because you can move this over here if you wanted to get rid of this. If you wanted to get rid of this and then put something else here, defense, whatever your heart fancies, because you have more than enough space when you move this over, because then it becomes 5. Then you have 69, which basically leaves you at 16. So you can put it in a whole other mod in here for whatever you're fancying as far as like additional defense, more HP, whatever the case may be. I'm just concerned that when we get to the new colossi, if you're running this mod and he targets you, you're going to be more of a hindrance than you are a help, because you're going to have to keep moving, which basically negates the purpose of having this mod, because you have to be stationary essentially, or without, you can't roll or use a grapple. So take it for what you will. Now, the base, we've seen this 1,000 times. We know the song and dance. The base support, nimble footsteps. You've seen it here. You do, you get your MP. Your passionate sponsor, because you're buffing. It increases the firearm attack and skill power, so that way when you're shooting, you're doing damage. So you're not just throwing, well, you're still kind of throwing wet napkins at an enemy, but you're doing it with a little bit more oomph behind it. So that way you're on ad duty. That's basically what you are doing when you're doing your buffs and stuff, and you're on ad duty, unless you have a bunny who can just clear everything in 2 seconds. So that's what you're looking at. Like I said, these are going to be short and sweet, because we've done this song and dance 1,000 times with her DPS and her base support versions. Now, her DPS version, this is what I'm currently running, because it feels comfortable for me. If you wanted to, you can throw on 2 more crit items on here to give her basically, I think it's like 200% or close to 200%. Which would be the emergency measures and front lines. You put those on there. She's sitting at 200%, and then you pop your 2. You're basically using your 2 to do crit, crit damage, crit hit rate, or you popping your 3 to do more damage, essentially. Either way, whatever you guys want to do, because it's your character. You play it how you want to play it. But overall, I believe that this is going to be the most sought after buff going forward. Or characters like I said, Haley, Blair, Glay are going to be the biggest benefactors on this, but you can also switch it depending on your team comp. So if you wanted to do the stationary buff to give it to like an Ajax, so they can just stand in it, or whatever other characters like a Freyna, who's going to benefit from skill power, you can put it on her so she can do whatever it is, her new kit, or whatever her kit's going to do. We still don't know if they're going to actually rework it. It may still be the same kit, but I hope you all enjoyed this breakdown. Like I said, it really wasn't anything else outside of what we already know. I just wanted to put the 2 new buffs that she has, show you what they do. Because, I mean, this is the same thing as doing the other buffs. Like, you can see it in the screen. You do your 4, go to your 2, then you try to build up for the 4 when it comes back off a cooldown, so you can give them the pen and the weak point damage increase. That's basically it. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll try to get to them as I can. Or you can just come by the Twitch stream and ask me while I'm live. I'm pretty much live every day except for Saturday and Sunday. So that's where you can find me. But hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, if you have any counter suggestions, or you want to have a decent conversation, just put it in the comments. I'll see it and then get back to you. But hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. And I'm out of here. Later.